All right, everybody, welcome back to the Damn Podcast. I am Epimonte, joined as always by David Dietrich and Austin Reel. We have a special guest tonight in Matthew Painter. We're going to do a little bit of recapping on the race from just a couple days ago. I do want to give you guys a quick note here. If Painter somehow, if we ask him a question and he doesn't respond, it's because he's auctioning off Pokemon cards in the background. So there's that. We asked him to do a little bit of homework for the show. That's kind of part of being a guest on the show, and
We got a business to run,
it's
Bamonte.
it's
Okay.
it's incomplete to say the least. So, with that, let's jump right in here. I'll talk about some of the finishes and the team scores here. And again, just a reminder to everybody, I kept saying this to Will last night when I was busy punching a hole in my fucking wheel. Uh, it's a long season, right? So, I was pretty peeved last night. I took the whole day off almost until about, say about 5 o'clock today. David texted me and I came back. But it's a long season.
I'm always there to really end
That's
then.
it. Yeah, and I was good. I knew I was gonna uninstall F1 last night and reinstall it at some point this weekend. So we're almost to
It's a
that point.
temporary thing.
Yeah, it's just a standard operating procedure on the first race of the week or race of the season. So with that, so we do have Matthew Painter with us. He is the champion of Bahrain. So congrats on that first place. Uh,
Thank you.
Barrett, I'm just going to go over the podium here. So Barrett was second, and Keaton was honeydecking all along and is in third in the race there. So congrats to those three gentlemen on that. I'm going to go over just a couple points here. So I'm not going to go through everybody's points, but I did want to mention the bottom three for points in the constructors right now is Ferrari, AlphaTauri, and Red Bull Racing all have 0 points currently as we stand. So kind of tough sledding for those guys so far. But again, like I said, long season, so definitely interested to see where things go for you guys. How about the rookies? So why don't Dave? Why don't you talk a little about the rookie performances this week?
I was impressed by the rookies for sure. We kind of have two categories as rookies, or for rookies, as we know. So we have our true rookies, which are guys like Brett and Jordan, who just picked up the game to join us this season and haven't really played F1 before. And I was impressed, man. I think Brett took 13th. I want to say Jordan was 17th or 16th. Um, but and we were kind of talking about this today. It's hard to explain to these guys how good they're really doing because, you think in any racing game, you're just going to race and finish and you're going to be somewhere in the bottom 50%. But it's like finishing a race is huge. I mean, it really is. And to go with no safety cars and things like that, we could not do this in season one and two. Like we would always have safety cars and crap like that. So really they should be happy with where they are. They're doing really well. And if they keep practicing, they are going to really mix it up in this group. And then we have our other rookies who are just new to the league. So we have Will, Pete, and Barrett. And uh, I mean, Barrett, holy crap. I mean, that came out of nowhere. I knew I was going to be pretty fast here, and I took pole pretty early, and then Barrett passed me, and I was just like, was not expecting it. I ran fives with him, and he looked fast, but nothing crazy. And I mean, this guy races a lot and races everything, so he's very fast. And then Will and Pete kind of mixed it up in the middle, and I think both of them said they were kind of a little nervous, like driving around guys they haven't drove around a ton. You have to learn everybody's driving style. It takes a little bit of time, and if you get caught up in the middle, it can get you in a weird situation. So I think they'll get used to driving with the guys, and they'll mix in just fine as well.
Yeah, Will was definitely a little nervous. I'll tell you from our pre-race chats, I could definitely tell. And then I was gonna back you up on the results there. So just looking through here, so Colonel Sanders was 16th, and Swaggy J Hurst 8 was 18th. So decent results for them. Again, like you said, it's good to get them to finish races and things like that. Especially again, like you said, the first race of the season. I think everybody experiences nerves in there. I know even the veterans do,
Yeah.
and things like that. So I think I abandoned my second hot lap because I had a little bit of an adrenaline dump, and that's kind of just how it goes. Uh,
Yeah, quick note for Brett. I just talked to him a little bit. He was already practicing Jeddah tonight, and he was kind of acknowledging, we were talking about learning how to drive around other guys and learning how to be clean and things like this. And he acknowledged that he was like, yeah, I had a few spots where I felt like I was a little bit more aggressive than I wanted to be, or kind of defended a little harder than I wanted to. And he's like, I learned from that. And like, I just got to learn how to drive around guys, but he's like so stoked about it and just wants to keep getting better. So those are the guys that usually stick around and end up, they love it. And we run with those guys for years.
Yeah, Real, what'd you have? You had something?
I was just saying, still, we're in our fifth season, and I'm still shaking before the race. My wife came into the room, and it was minutes before we started the qualifying, and I'm like, "You got to get the fuck out of here! Like, I
Yeah.
can't do this with you right here. You got to get out of here."
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no
yeah, we
doubt.
still feel it.
No doubt. So I'm going to go a little off script here. So for me, I wanted to talk about what the biggest surprise of the race was. And I'll go around the table here. So Matthew Painter, if you don't mind pausing the Charmeleon auction, what was the biggest surprise of the race
Pause.
for you?
It was Barrett. He came out hot. I think he qualified P2, and he was P2 for, I would say, half the race. So he was a big surprise to me.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I was tracking him down too. I was on, so I
Here we
pit for
go.
hards a lap later than the David and Barrett, and I couldn't gain time until their tires started degrading. And even when that happened, like it was a battle to get by him. He's obviously a good racer. He's put in a lot of time. And to touch on the rookies, just briefly, is that this is their first race. They're only going to get more comfortable. They're going to be
Yep.
qualifying higher. They're still learning short qualifying, learning other drivers. And they went what 2, 8, 13, and 18. Like if this is the beginning of if this is the beginning of the rookies. So 2, 7,
It'd be
11,
two,
and 18.
2, 7, 11, 16, 18. 2, 7, 11, 16, 18.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, these rookies are fast, man, and
Half
it's
of them,
gonna
half
make.
of them ain't surviving Jeddah. Half of them ain't gonna survive Jeddah. So just let's calm down on sucking dick right now because it's gonna be a different story when there's walls a little closer to the road.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah,
But
Bahrain's
yeah,
a great
biggest
track to
surprise is
start off
Barrett.
with how open it is,
Yes.
and it allows people
Yep.
to kind of work around each other and things like that. Uh, Austin Real, what was your biggest surprise from race number one?
I'm gonna go with it's maybe a big surprise to some people. It's not really a huge surprise to me, but probably David. Just having the speed. I didn't realize that he was up front for most of that race. I figured though, based on qualifying, and he's someone that I've known has had a lot of speed, and he could put it together and win races and be competing at the top. So, but I was still surprised that he, had that lead for that much of that race. So I'm gonna go with David.
David, how about you? Biggest surprise?
I would say, well, my first one was Barrett. My second one was me getting poles, so that didn't help, guys. But I would say, gosh, it's really hard not to just say Barrett, man.
Yeah,
I mean, like, I don't like nobody again, like power rankings, all this, like, in a few 5 lap races, it felt like, okay, he has some pace and stuff like this. But I mean, he is like, and he said that Bahrain was one of his better tracks. But I mean, we're talking about like this is a very serious contender for top driver two now. So this is a guy who could be taking over a team and picking a free agent next year. This is a guy who is realistically looks like he could be in the fight for the drivers championship. There's no reason to think that he couldn't. Um, like, man, I mean, that really shakes up a lot.
yeah, for
And
sure.
how bad does it make Paulie look being in the same car? Jeez Louise,
Yeah,
my
man.
guy.
Yeah, it was nice that some people figured out where the game was this week. That was cool to see those guys online. Paulie, Troy, hey, Hayden,
We need to
good stuff, guys.
celebrate. We do need to celebrate a 19-person grid, though. That's
Yeah,
you love to see. God, it's fun having sitting on that starting grid with that many people. It's fucking cool,
yeah,
no
for
matter
sure.
I
what.
did I did look back at our races last year or last season, and we did not ever have a grid up to 19 at any point. So
Yeah,
that was the
so
most we
cool.
had on there for a while.
Yeah, so my biggest surprise, I've been thinking about this question for a little bit today, but my biggest surprise was that we had no safety cars. That's something that
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
kind of assume is going to happen. And whether it was desync issues or people were ghosting, whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's just we had no safety cars even through turn one. I know my turn one was a little bit hairy with me and Tyler at one point. Um, so shout out to Tyler for that. But it was pretty clean for the most part throughout the whole race. So, and I know we had some issues, but yeah, that's pretty good. So thanks for those
And
guys.
to that point, I think, some people were saying they kind of had a boring race and they weren't really around people too much and stuff like that. I think that definitely 100% comes from the safety car like that. You're not going to have 19 guys on the grid and not see some competitive driving unless there's really no safety cars and you're just running clean laps. Um, I'm telling you, like, I promise you to remember this whenever you're getting mixed up in these. Like, not every race is going to be anything like that. Like, there's going to be people crashing. There's going to be fucking, again, here at Jeddah, walls are very close. Like, do not expect that and expect to be battling around people a lot
Yeah,
coming up really this week.
yeah. I think to shout out a friend of the podcast, Seth Devine. I think that might be an outlier. This race might be an outlier. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't expect many races to have no safety cars. I'd be great. Because it means nobody's nights ended prematurely. But
Mhm.
it gets too tight. We get more comfortable around each other. We take more risks. The season gets later. It's like we're scrapping for points. So all those factors lead to stuff like that as we keep going. So cool. Let's talk about the over unders and the results from those. I think we had a pretty good amount of participation. So thank you guys all for that.
Yeah,
There was
totally.
like 17 votes on almost every one of them. So as long as we get that kind of participation, I'm happy to put my life at risk and do those while I'm driving every week. So that's totally fine. So let's go over them real quick here. So again, how many safety cars this evening? I set the over under at set the line at 1.5, and 10 people voted over, and we missed on that one. So there's that. How many Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo cars on the podium? I had a good line there, 1.5, and we stuck
Yep.
it at 2, I believe, right? So
Yep.
Keaton and Senor Painter, who's alongside of us. Total number of DNFs. Boy, I overshot that one. We lost money there. 2.5. Under on that, there was 0, I believe, unless you count my departure from the game as one of those. I think I still finished the race, so there's that. Will the league record for fastest lap be broken? And it did not get
Nope.
broken, correct? Is that correct?
Nope.
Okay,
Did
so it
not get broken.
did not get broken, which is pretty crazy. I think a little bit of symptom of that,
New
as an
game.
aside to this, is well, one, there's a new game, but two, like I think when drivers are so tight in the top 10, nobody that's got like the pure pace like those guys is
Yeah.
willing to like make a swap late because they're trying to
Yeah.
battle for that last point. So, and that went to Passy. Is that correct? That point?
Yep.
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 Okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, whenever Patsy has a fastest lap, no records are being broken.
Yikes! Shots fired. I like that. He's back, boys. Auction complete. My man.
He said the record's safe. Passy puts the flag. That's
Oh shit!
brutal.
I know
That's
Passy listens to this
brutal.
too, so he's gonna love that.
Oh,
But
Can't
how is
wait for
that's
that.
Patsy the
that's
fastest
gonna
lap,
wake him up in the
though?
morning.
That's so good.
Jeez.
That's so good. How many Canadians in the top 5? Originally, I wanted to do that question as the top 8, and David talked me out of it to make it the top 5. The line is 1.5, and I don't know that any Canadians were even sniffing the top 5 this week. So
But don't we feel good about the fact that they didn't get it?
yeah, just American
Oh
dominance,
yeah.
just like always. You know how it
Yeah.
is. You know how
Yeah.
it is. Undefeated
Do
in
you have the
wars and
Americans in the
undefeated in
top two and
Bahrain.
set the line at 3?
Exactly. All right. Can Williams secure their first points in league history? I said the line at point 0.5, and they both secured points this week, I believe.
Yep.
So congratulations, Mr. Real, on that
Yeah. Thank you.
feat.
Very
Taking over
cool.
the team and then turning that MF around. So good stuff there.
Hmm.
All right. How many of the true rookies, Brett and Jordan, finished the race? We set the line at 2, and everyone finished,
They
so we're
did.
good there. Who
Beautiful.
finishes higher, David and Matt? I really wish we would have been able to battle,
Yeah.
because I was in a really good spot at one point in that race. I was on, I think out of the top 6, I was the only one on hard tires to start the race, and
Yeah.
I was pretty close. I think I was within like 4 or 5 seconds of you when the
Yep.
pit window was getting ready to open. It would have been interesting to see where we fleshed out. I think it would have been really fun.
We ultimately got robbed of what would have been the best finish because I'm
Yeah,
telling you, it would have been me, Matt, and Matt in the third sector, and like, and I'm telling you, a big part of it is that Matt staying in it would have like you guys either would have pulled used DRS and caught up to me,
yeah,
or you guys would have battled and kept like made it easier on me. And so it's like anything could have happened,
Yeah,
and most likely we all would have just wrecked each other.
yeah, it totally changes that dynamic of the race because you don't have to worry about me. Painter
Yep.
doesn't have to. Nobody has to worry about me because my car is just in AI mode. So you just like, all right,
Yep.
whatever. So it changes a lot of the strategy and things like that. How hard you can push, battery usage,
Yep.
all that stuff changed everything. Who finishes higher, Paulie or Passy? That's a good rivalry, huh?
Yeah, I love that.
That's a good one. So that's it for the over unders for the week. So that was pretty fun. We did 10 this week. I may trim it to 8 if I can't think of anything. Sometimes it's hard to be creative with those.
They're hard. There,
Mhm.
I think the thing is, let's just give each other a break. And if we have to duplicate a bunch of stuff and just swap out names, let's just do that because they really are kind of hard to think of. And I rather just pump out 10 rather than trying to like get over creative and not
Yeah,
do it. Like
yeah, I think
I
that might
think
be.
repetitive is
That's actually
fine.
that's actually probably a good shout. Maybe that's like a template I'll use as those 10 questions and just kind of
Yeah,
interchange some names or something like that. That's not a bad little idea. So cool.
because it doesn't hurt to guess the safety car line every week. You know.
Yeah, yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that's pretty fun. On to the bulk here. So we're about 15 minutes in. So we got some time here, guys. So we're
Cool.
on to Jeddah, which we've discussed quite a bit to start. But for round two, that is a very scary race track. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of Jeddah. I know Doug obviously is a huge fan of Jeddah. I believe it's Doug's favorite track. So I'm looking for
Yep.
Aston Martin to perform well again there. I will say I really like. I was talking to Will in our pre-race lobby, and or actually in our practice sessions throughout the week, and I'm a big fan of the technical tracks. As you guys know, I had good performances at like Japan and China in the past. The more technical tracks, the more tight tracks, I really really like. I'm not as much of a fan of Bahrain and like Monza and tracks like that where they're more open and
Yeah.
and speed demon. I'm definitely a more technical track guy, so I really like Jeddah. The game has some
But
additions to
Jeddah's
it.
also the fastest track on the course. That's what's so sick, or
Yeah,
on the. That's what's so sick about it is like it is very technical, but you can't take it easy. Like we were just talking earlier about, you truly have to turn like you're turning into the wall at like 3 turns on this track. Like it is very fucking fast and technical.
yeah. I always
It's gonna be Wing Wednesday. It's
any
gonna be
anytime
fucking 25-cent boneless.
anytime anyone
Yeah.
talks to me about Jeddah, I literally just can only think of the Max Verstappen lap, and because
Mm-hmm.
that thing is like literally his car's on fucking rails, and he has like a very minor mistake that ends his qualifying, and like that's certainly some people might crash in qualifying this week, which
Yep.
isn't something I was
Yep.
remotely worried about in Bahrain.
Yeah.
But there's going to be some shit that happens in Jeddah. People are
Dude,
going to
think about,
crash, and it's going to
we've
slow
had
people down.
people, how are rookies going to get out of the way in qualifying when Speed's already got blocked once in qualifying? And I mean, these things happen. Like it is what it is. You learn from it. But it's like this week is not like, oh, I just need to make sure I'm aware of it. Like, dude, you have to be very, like, you really have to, like, when there's runoffs, if there's somebody in that sector, you just need to get off on the runoff and just sit out of the way.
Yeah,
Like, it's
there's
going
a
to be
lot of
hairy, dude.
there's a lot of stuff that if you watch like actual F1 races and you watch the qualies beforehand like a psychopath like I do several times, you hear them talk a lot about like um, laying like banker laps. So you lay down like one
Mm-hmm.
that's like, mate, let's say you're a 130-ish person at Bahrain, right? You just put in like a 131.2 or something like that, safe.
Yep.
That might be a strategy for Jeddah, because
Yep.
again, when people crash, we could have to slow it down. You might have yellow flags
In the
out, and
back. And yep. Yep.
you never know what's going to happen, and it could cause more than one person to have issues if you're following tight on the track and things like that, which is something I didn't really think about until right now.
It's gonna be crazy. Like I think Paulie said it in the chat. I'm like the race is gonna be very hard. I'm more worried about quality at this point because of how like I saw a little bit of the carnage at Bahrain during quali, and I know a lot of guys had it hard. Me, I mean, Hayden said he couldn't get his second lap in because he's like, there's just 8 guys sitting in the last turn waiting to go.
Yeah,
And dude, I mean, you do that at Jeddah, and it's like you will not get a lap in.
yeah. I'll tell you some a little thing about Bahrain that happened. If you go watch my stream, and you don't have to, but if you want to watch any part of my stream, you should go rewatch qualifying that I did. I went out on my second set of tires and I think I ran 4 laps before I actually ran a second qualifying lap because of the traffic on the course, and I was just
Yeah.
waiting for like a good break where I could actually run a lap unimpeded, and I didn't have to worry about any of this stuff going on. And I actually followed behind Spees at one point, and him and I ran our qualifying laps at the end. So if you ever want to see something
Well,
kind of cool, that was a cool strategy I did.
and here's one thing I'll tell you: what it's going to come down to like the only way we're going to get past this to where, as a league, we can just do short quality and you don't have to go into it nervous that somebody's going to fuck you every time. The only way to do it is to learn how to get comfortable staying on the racing line and getting off the racing line, because I think a lot of times, um, guys don't get off the racing line that well, and they think they like going just like way off track. If that's necessary, then do it. But there were like 3 times in qualifying where I'd be on hot laps and the guy in front of me would literally just go completely off the track or like just go bouncing over the curb in front of me. And I'm like, this is way worse. This is way more distracting. Like, just know, like, okay, when I go around this turn, I normally start on the left side and go to the inside. So I'm just going to stay at the top of this turn and like they're on a hot lap. They're trying to take that turn pretty well. You should just be able to get off the racing line and let them pass. And they should be confident enough in you that you're going to do that, then they can keep their pace and not have to bail out every lap. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it takes a ton of time and Jeddah's going to be a shit show, but eventually that's what we should be trying to get more comfortable doing.
Yeah, it's definitely an acquired skill. It's because it breaks your brain to get off the racing line, but it's just something you need to get
Mm-hmm.
comfortable doing. Even on your like on your on your warm up lap, like you should be off the racing line. That's just like the
Yes.
standard. You should be off the racing line, and that will adjust your brain better to being how you need to do that kind of stuff. And like
And
you can
looking
almost
for
come to a
those
complete
spots.
stop, which I did several
Yep.
times. I caused
Yep.
yellow flags coming to almost a complete stop on the track to let people get through.
Yep.
So make sure you have that full mini map on. If you don't, just ask your partner or ask the
Yeah.
league how to do it, and we'll get you all set up. So
We did a good job of getting Matthew through for his last hot lap, and we had like 5 guys right in front of him, and we all cleared a nice
yeah,
opening. So that'd have been a
Yeah,
nice
it was
time to
nice.
thank us, Matthew. But that's cool.
cool. So on Jeddah, so let's talk predictions, right? I'm gonna start with Painter this time. So Painter, prediction for Jeddah? Anything crazy? Anything bold? Anything nuts?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Doug finished ahead of me this track. It's his best track, and last season, I don't know if we raced it or if it was part of this actual season, but he outpaced me flat out. So I think Doug might flirt with the podium. I think he has a pace, and this is in his wheelhouse. And I wouldn't be surprised if Doug gets podium.
Okay.
First off, the fact that you're not hyping up your teammate as a fucking win here at his favorite track, like, what are you? What is this, dude?
Yeah. If
Hey, listen, I'm still in the race.
and
You
and,
know,
and Painter
like
says,
the wins in
No,
play for me.
no. This is when you get on. You're, dude. You're literally doing a fucking PR tour right now. This is when you get on. You're trying to fix up your image. Let's get on here and say yes. I hope my boy gets his first win. I can't wait to celebrate with him.
Painter says,
Golly.
I like this. I like to do this a lot, right? Painter says, yeah, I don't know if how he did last year at this track or whatever. If only we had a spreadsheet
I'm,
with all of
I'm
the
looking at it right
information
now.
that we could do. And real, are
Hey,
you have the
Austin,
spreadsheet
let's
open
hear it.
for season 3?
Yeah, I was
Okay,
getting ready
fire
for
it
you
up.
to swing it to me.
Yeah, man,
So
go ahead, fire it up.
I was just gonna say that Doug did in fact outpace Painter at Jeddah
I'm
last
saying.
time we ran it. Painter got fourth, and
He's the Kadarius
or
Tony
sorry,
of Aston
sorry,
Martin.
Doug Doug got fourth. Painter got sixth, and in between them was little old me. So I was thinking that this is a track I didn't really like that much, but maybe I like it more than I thought because I did all right last time we ran it. But yeah, Doug, I kind of remember this race now, and I feel like Doug and Painter had some really close battles, which kind of I don't know if you guys made contact at some point or something happened though, which got me by
Oh, I
you.
remember
So
this.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
Doug hit me.
Oh, here we
yeah,
go.
Yeah, I remember this, Doug.
fuck
If you're
that
Dude.
listening to
game, I
this
didn't.
tomorrow, I haven't forgotten. You know what? I take that back. I'm winning the race. Doug can podium. Doug hit me last time. Six would have been first. You heard it here
Oh
first.
man, I love that. I
That's
love that.
Real,
Hey,
what's your
it's your teammate's home race this week. How do you think he's gonna do? And he goes, He'll do amazing. In
Dead
fact, he might
last.
even get close to me.
Oh shit. Real, what's your bold prediction on this beautiful steaming hot Jeddah course?
Oh, I don't know how bold I can be with this, but let me see real fast. I'm just kind of looking at how we all ran last time, and
Yeah,
uh, Keaton won it last time,
sure did.
and so it's not really bold, but I'm going to say Keaton repeats and wins it again.
Okay,
Takes home first.
I
very good.
like that. He hasn't won in a while. I like that.
All right, so I'm gonna kick it down to David. And David, I'm not sure if you remember, but you took home the bronze medal in Jeddah last time we raced this track.
I do like this track. But I'm worried it's gonna be just I don't know about a bunch of safety cars or anything, but I think it is gonna be a bunch of clipped wings, and there might be kind of two races: the guys that have pit and the guys that haven't. Um, Bold prediction. I'm gonna put together a parlay of Passy, Jordan. Oh, I gotta go with somebody a little better. Give me Pete
Yikes!
What are we talking
and
about here?
I didn't know this parlay's getting good.
no, that's good. Passy, Jordan, Pete. Give me one more. Passy, Jordan, Pete, and oh, I hate to do this. Passy, Jordan, Pete, and Doug all DNF.
Holy
Hit a
How?
cow!
How? What are you
all hit a
saying?
wall.
Passy,
You're
It's too many
speaking.
walls.
You're
Jordan.
speaking
Doug's too
evil on my
fast.
teammate.
Doug's too fast. Pete's too fast. Jordan's gonna get a little sloppy.
Uh,
And Passy, he loves walls, dude. That's like his favorite thing.
Holy shit, that's crazy. So you think the pressure is going to get to Doug? Doug's talked about how he loves this course, and we're all
I
hyping him
think
up,
he's gonna
except
get
for his teammates not hyping him up. But anyways, we're all hyping him up. And so you think,
yeah.
but you've hyped him up so much, in fact, that you think he's
This
going
is
to
what I
end up in a
think.
wall.
This is what I think. And this is really why I'm saying this. I was in first for a lot for the first time this past week,
Yeah,
and
shit
I
sucks.
think I think that Doug is going to get into first in this. I think if I was in Jeddah in first, as long as I wasn't Bahrain, I would hit a wall. It makes you, dude. It makes you fucking nervous, and
Yeah.
you are sweating and like, dude. I'm telling you, especially when it's like you genuinely one. There's 18 fucking other people, and you genuinely have like we kind of joke about like season one, season two, like the podiums I got and shit like that. It's like okay, there's five fucking people and we all suck. Like, what do those matter? Like this is actually like being in front of this group is nerve wracking, and I think he gets a little nervous, and I think he has a little wall for dinner. And I
All
love
right.
Doug to death, but I got to put together a parlay. I got bills to pay. You
Yeah,
know.
man, make some money. Fuck it. I know like you're kind of what you're speaking to here. I know I was in like fourth and fifth throughout the race last night, and I was just constantly, and it's a detriment to myself, constantly looking at the splits in the top. I'm like, okay, I'm 3.3 ahead of Tyler. I'm 4.2 ahead of Keaton. And then I'd go like a fucking quarter of a sector, and I'd be like, all right, I'm still the same. Why am I looking up here? I need to just like run my race, you
Yep.
know? And
Yep.
and and I
When do
think,
I use battery? When am I holding
yeah,
up? Can I get in DRS? Well, it makes sense to dump it here.
I would literally look up, and anytime Tyler made up any tenths on me, I would start dumping battery to get back in front because I just wanted that cushion. And it's a lot to manage. I mean, first place is you have the nice advantage of you don't have to worry about anyone in front of you and their brake lines or anything like that. But you do have to worry about managing your own tires and managing your own ERS. And
And anybody gets DRS on you, and it's fucking. You might as well just start planning on when you're gonna overtake them back.
yeah, it's a great course. So cool. I don't really know if I have a bold prediction. Other than I think definitely two people crash out in qualifying. Two is like the minimum I think crash out in qualifying.
Ooh, that's a good call. Yeah, can my guy out of my parlay? Can
No,
I take that over qualifying in
no,
the race? Because
no.
that's
Must be
high
the race.
floor.
Must be the race. The race is going to be sketchy. That's for sure. Like the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
several laps will be sketchy, but you know it is what it is. I love Jeddah, dude. It's so nice. I like the tight ones, man, where there's like every mistake is magnified. That shit gets me fucking hard as a rock, dude. I'm prepared for
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I like that a lot. So
Oh,
cool.
even just time trialing it, turning into those walls and fucking hitting the turn just right is just like, oh, you just get chills.
Yeah, and then the first time that you pull a Tony Hawk Pro Skater and you're on one of the fucking things
Yep.
grinding the bottom of your car, your asshole clenches and you have to like go take a bathroom break in the middle of it. So
That's why I just threw it on the Xbox.
yeah, you might as well. All right, so I'm gonna get everybody for one more thing here. So overperformers, okay, and let's do this. I'm gonna say no one can choose Barrett for this, okay, because that's like kind of the obvious like layup. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
let you do
yeah.
that shit.
Yep.
Not on this podcast at least.
And
So
maybe give at least two.
let's just do not Barrett and one other one. That's fine. You can
Okay,
do as
okay,
many as
okay.
you want, but
One of
overperformers.
each. One of each.
So there's gonna be an overperformer and an underperformer. Okay, so let's do overperformers first. And David, I'll start with you for overperformer.
Honestly, this is super cheeky, and I hate to do it, but it was. I feel like it was me. To get pole, like I wasn't really expecting that. And all last year, I mean, I don't even think I podiumed last year. So to get pole like the first time, and then lead pretty much the entire race, like I definitely was. And a lot of it was just like I got away clean. People kind of have their drama behind them, but like I practiced pretty hard for Bahrain just because I knew I had extra time because it's the first race, and I still was not expecting that.
Yeah, I am looking at the results. You did not podium last year, so yes, that is
Yeah.
fact that you did not. So,
And then
overperformer real. Who do you got for an overperformer this week?
Well, I hate to do what David just did, but I was gonna also select myself.
What
oh
the fuck?
Because
Well, I know
we're
Painter's
canceled.
picking
We're
himself.
canceled. We're
Yeah,
canceled
I already
now.
know Painter's picking himself. Go ahead, real. Sorry.
Painter's
I
not even listening to us. He's just thinking of his speech to himself right now.
I I truly look at some of the names that finished below me, and it's hard for me to say that I'm any better than those guys. So, and then the names that did finish ahead of me are guys that I would expect to finish ahead of me,
Okay.
especially if I can't choose Barrett. He would have been obviously the obvious pick,
Yeah, yeah.
um, but yeah, I have to go with myself.
Okay. Painter, how about you for overperformer?
That's who I was gonna
Painter,
pick
wait, wait,
was
wait,
Barrett.
wait.
You
Can
can't
you
pick
Yeah.
Barrett.
give me an overperformer as in like who do you think like placed better this week than what they really are? Like I guess like I said I overperformed because I didn't expect to be up there, but like you could say like David overperformed because he's not fucking getting a podium or getting that close to first again. Like, do you see anybody like that you think positioned higher than they should have?
Yeah, I think Barrett. He's a rookie driver,
God
and I don't
damn
doubt that
it.
he's good. But this is a very fast grid, and
Yep.
Paulie said he has something like 200 hours in Formula One and
Yeah.
iRacing, and that's a lot. But when you go with guys like Keaton, like you're probably talking 500 plus, and
Yeah. Yeah.
Spees has been racing for years. I don't doubt that Barrett's good and he's capable of points finish consistently,
You're
but
just saying
I
he's
think that he's
quarterback in the 49ers, and it's got a little too easy right now.
yeah, I think
Barrett's the
that
Brock Purdy of the group.
he
Has
qualified well and he got away when he could, and DRS trained out, and it kind of separated him without any safety car. There's no equalizer to bring everyone together, so guys like Barrett could get away from the group and be a little bit safer from mixing it up and getting caught in fighting and losing time.
I love
So
it.
I think
It's a good
my
take.
vote would be Barrett, but at the same point,
Oh,
um,
here we
I
go.
know.
Here we
all
fucking
right.
go. Yeah,
Hold
he
on,
has Christian McCaffrey, but he does hit those throws.
I will say that David and we practiced together for Bahrain, and I would probably we didn't put a crazy amount of time into practice, but I would say that we probably put in probably the most practice out of the grid, and he says that he overperformed. And that's not really the case. You put in practice, you see results. So anybody listening to this that, you had a bad race or you're on that bottom half and didn't score points, it's a proven factor. David thinks he overperformed. I think he just practiced.
Yeah.
And he
You do.
he
I
he
mean,
raced where he should be.
that is absolutely true. Like, I even would like sometimes I would not practice on the weekend to be like, oh, well, I'm just gonna do Monday, Tuesday. Like, and look, it all comes down to your schedule. Like, you have lives. Like, you're obviously not gonna be able to practice all the time. But like, I I would think like I'm gonna wait till Monday and Tuesday, so then it's like more fresh. Dude, literally, just like Kyle Speed says every time. The more time you're in the seat, the better you're gonna be. That's all it fucking comes down to. The more you're on the sticks, the better you're gonna be.
All right. So I gotta say it. I had one fucking rule for this question. Has everyone seen The Big Lebowski? You guys seen The Big Lebowski before?
Yes, dude.
Has
Yes,
the
yes.
whole world gone crazy? Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the fucking rules? That's
To
nice.
be fair, he put a good spin on that.
That's
He
great.
put a
Yeah,
good
that's
spin
great.
on it,
That's great. But that's fine.
I get you. I get you toe by three, dude.
Good, good. Exactly, dude. Good fucking guess to get out of the way on round one. I will be buzzing you off the show. You don't obey the rules on this goddamn podcast, all right? But so that's good. So
You
that's good.
know.
I will say the overperformer for me, and this is a really weird one. Okay, so bear with me for a second. I'm gonna say Keaton
Okay.
getting the third place. I think Keaton is maybe not checked out necessarily, but he's definitely scaled back his practice sessions. I really thought that the
Hate to
top
see it.
three was going to be like some mixture of Painter, Spees, and Tyler, and I kind of thought that Keaton would be like sixth-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood. And getting third is a big get, especially Kyle had a little bit of a rougher time this week. So
Yeah.
for him to snag 15 points and Kyle still snag 8, that's a big deal
Thanks,
for those
dude.
guys.
Kyle's gonna win by 30 seconds next week, man.
Yeah, I know Kyle's gonna win like several races, but like I
God.
said, like Keaton getting those points, I think is actually pretty massive for that team.
Keaton could be he could be like Tom Brady in his Tampa Bay era. This could be his like fucking we thought he was done and then he's gonna win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, so I'm gonna go to underperformers. We're about 36 minutes into the show so far, and we're pretty close
That's
to the
good
end
because
here, so we're good.
I have a little bit just some league stuff that I want to do at the very end anyway.
Okay, all right, so underperformers. So Painter, you're first. I have no rules for this one, so you can say whoever you'd like for underperformer.
All right, it's pretty simple. It's my main man, Doug. He finished 10th. He had a little bit of a he had a little bit of a
Just turn into
EA
a fucking
Sports
Fuck,
fuck up.
one-on-one with your
this is so
manager.
good.
What the
This is
fuck
so
is
good.
this?
Hey, listen, you
He's
guys are
getting a
dogging me.
bad review. He's getting a bad review 1 week into the season before his home race.
1 star.
No wonder he
The
almost
easy
teamed up
race
with
would
Pastor.
the
What
easy
happens to
one.
Checo on Red Bull.
The easy out is Matt Bamonti
Yeah,
because he was consistently fourth, and EA happened, and
Hmm.
he's 18th, didn't finish. Well, kind of finished. But Doug was the same way. I don't think this is like he didn't really talk about it much, but midway through the game, he had like a kind of like a hiccup, like you, David, where the game kind of paused, and then he had to get back into it. So he lost a lot of time. And he's fighting with Rish and Austin. He said you guys were DRS training away, so it kind of made it hard for him to catch up. But he's in that fight at 6, 7, 8, and you put him at his best track. I think he could be in that, like I said, fighting for the podium.
yeah.
So I think underperformers gonna be Doug for me.
Okay. Real, you're on the hot seat here. So who do you got for underperformers from Bahrain?
I personally think this one is super, super easy because there's one person that had just one job and they could not do it. And it was just unbelievable to me and a huge underperformance. And that was Mitchell Rishko not getting those kids to fucking bed.
Yeah, dude, come on.
He,
Get him some
Drive
fucking
the
he
beer.
waited out there.
ball.
Get
We
him some
waited. We
Drive
NyQuil.
the
waited.
ball.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do something, right? So, yeah, the fact that he wasn't out there, huge underperformance and a huge detriment to that team. Um,
NyQuil Racing.
yeah, that's who I'm going to go with.
All right, good choice. David, you're up for this one.
Um, I like to kill two birds with one stone while I can, so I'm actually gonna pick a team.
Okay.
Uh, I'm gonna go with the North. I'm gonna go with McLaren
Yeah.
Racing. I mean, listen, they got George Russell. They were projected for a podium, and I thought that there was a chance they could even double podium with how much they've been practicing, how good they looked in the fives. We've been talking about how fast they've been. We kind of had a running joke in the off season during these five lappers because it was like the top three would all be Canadian flags, and we'd be like, we got to be really careful of these guys taking over. And much like the World Juniors this year, they were barely even in it here with 6 points total,
Yeah.
seventh and 15th. And I'm giving them a hard time. I really, really like both of these guys, but I do think they are both much faster than this. I think they underperformed, and I think they're going to be a much more kind of focal point of the season than they were in week one.
All right, so my underperformers, yeah, myself, I'm easy to pick. 0 points is like an EA thing. It is what it is. But I think the glaring one that's really obvious to me is Adam Brills. I know some people on this very podcast predicted Adam to be like a top three finisher in the constructors this year, and some of us even picked McLaren to win the constructors. So
Yep.
starting off with
Yep.
6 points is yeah, pretty unfortunate for them to start. And I mean, again, long season, but starting off with a 0 and a 6 when you're projected to bring some kind of fight to Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo, that's tough. That's a tough one to get back.
Yeah.
You're down 20 points to the lead team already, and that's not a great place to be if you're seriously considering fighting for the constructors championship.
I think you bring up a great point there too, Matt, that this is really a nod to Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo because it's like they're always like competitive. It's like we kind of take that for granted, but it's like right back at it is Painter winning a race, is Keaton, like you just talked about, Keaton's on a fucking podium again. Like it's not it. Guys can look good on paper, look good in 5 lappers. And look, this is just one race. Like I said, I think these guys are going to do better throughout the year for sure. But it's like, don't forget, like it's hard to. I mean, we're talking about fucking Spees and Keaton on the same team. Like that's not easy to fucking catch those guys.
Yeah, for sure. It's again, like I'm gonna say it a million times throughout this podcast series. It's a long season. We're in race number one, and things are gonna shake up. I'm sure by like I want to say like Silverstone-ish, we'll have a better idea of where we're at. Like France Silverstone, maybe even Red Bull Ring with the sprint race. We'll have a better idea of like where people actually shake out. But yeah, we're not far from that, you know. But it's for the first couple sprint races are going to be really interesting to see. Like, we have two scheduled this year. It'll be interesting to see if that's something we enjoy and we keep going further through the seasons and see how effective those points are. I'll be certainly checking out to see, if those points made a huge swing in the season and stuff like that.
I'm gonna make sure to have my drama gif ready for the sprint races because I think some guys are gonna wreck in those sprints and be pissed.
Yeah, you got to go crazy. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. So that's
Love
that.
it.
All right, cool. So we're about to wrap it up here. Any closing thoughts, Real? Do you have anything for us?
No. I think we covered pretty much most of it. So just hoping to be able to race next week. I'm gonna be cutting it close to getting there on time, but talking to Richard right now, so we're preparing for it.
Okay, very good. Well, I wanted to say before I let you go, thanks a bunch for the graphics and stuff like that. If you guys haven't taking the time to look at the spreadsheet. You're assholes. I'll say it out loud. You should go check out the spreadsheets, check out the graphics. Austin did a really awesome thing and did a driver spotlight, which it sounds like he's going to try and continue to do, time permitting,
That
throughout
was
the
sick.
season. And that really adds a bunch to the league. Not to poo-poo on anyone else's league, but we have the best league in the world. So
Yeah, we
it's
do.
it's it's pretty amazing the things that we get to do just as like a small team here with like limited resources. Uh, I feel very fortunate to be a part of the league, so I hope you guys do too. So thanks, Real, for that.
No
David,
problem.
you got any parting thought? Actually, you know what? Before I know you got some shit and you're gonna talk a minute.
Yep.
So, Painter, you got any closing thoughts?
Yeah, to Jeddah next week. Pete Newfie
Shocker.
is also an underperformer. I raced against that guy at Jeddah in the off season. The guy has super low setups, and the way he flies by at Jeddah and can still hit the corners on his setup, he's going to be insane to catch.
What about a
His
wall? Do you
setup's
think he
extreme.
could? Do you think
Yeah,
he could hit a
right
wall?
before he hits the
He
Rolex
he
wall.
could definitely hit a wall. That's in play. It's in play.
I
All
love
right,
that.
cool. Well, Painter, thanks for joining us tonight. It's been
Thanks for
pretty
having
awesome.
me.
I love having
Yeah.
guests on. It's cool to add a little spice. And congrats on the first place. I love you as a human because you're like me, where you talk a tons of shit. And the best part is, dude, it's like when you back it up, it feels. I know that feeling. You're like, yeah, fuck you guys, I'm first place. That's right. Right back. We're back where I knew I was gonna be. And so it's pretty awesome to watch you get a dub. That's amazing start to the season. I think hopefully it'd be cool to watch you and Doug go back to back wins. Maybe not for the rest of the grid, but I think it'd be
Oh,
pretty
that would
epic.
be sick.
It'd be pretty epic to
Yeah,
watch Aston Martin flip
Put a
flop
stamp on
on
the start of
wins.
the
Yeah,
season.
super sick.
Matt's like,
hands
didn't
at
you
the
hear me?
top.
I said I'm gonna win.
Ian's at the top, and we're here to stay. So Alpha Romeo, put in those time trial laps, okay? Cause ain't nobody touching us.
Love it.
Speeds
Love
is
it.
on dirt right now.
Love the spice. All right, David, what do you got to wrap it up here?
I'm just gonna be really quick because I think a lot of people did see this, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows. We've talked about this a little bit throughout the start of the season, but a big goal of ours for the league is just to get every rule locked in place. So then there's no kind of debating back and forth, and it's one step at a time. But one thing that we did implement that I really like that is pretty close to possibly, well, one way or another it'll take effect, but one thing we're gonna do is straight from Formula One. I'm not sure if they still do it, but I know at least in the past, to change any rule or regulation during the season, it had to be all teams unanimously voted on it. And it seems kind of extreme, but at the same time, it's nice because absolutely everybody has to agree on it. So nothing's going to change. Like, worst case scenario is you have the opportunity to say no to anything. So worst case scenario, the season, nothing will change. You don't have to worry about anything changing. But if there's something that everybody agrees on, we can make regulation changes. And it's kind of nice because it adds a little bit of strategy to it. You can bring any ideas to us and we can put them up for a vote. Because again, it doesn't hurt to do these because anybody can just say no and shut it down immediately.
Yeah.
Right now, we have our first one of these. So this is kind of a cool, very quick example that I can give. Did you want to hop in real quick, Matt, before I
No,
get
no,
into
go
this
ahead.
one?
Go ahead.
So this first one, I think is very cool because it's like a true like regulation vote. Um, Last night at Bahrain, Passy took the fastest lap and he finished 12th. And as you know, all that really does is if you get the fastest lap, but you're not in the top 10, you don't receive the point for it. So Passy doesn't get anything for it, but he did take the fastest lap away from somebody who was in the top 10 who would have got that extra point. So it's not really that exciting. It just takes away a point. That's cool, whatever. Well, because as you saw, like at times you can kind of have the front of the grid and the back of the grid separated, and sometimes you're not racing around everybody and things like this. Um, that back of the grid, if you have three or four guys that have 0 points, if you get 1 point, you're automatically ahead of all those guys, no matter where you finished in those previous races. So what I think we'll see a lot of is, maybe the guys that are 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th all go in and pit with like 2 laps left, and then they get to really just have a competition between themselves to see who can put in the fastest lap. Because they pit, they'll probably be getting lapped, so they'll just be ghosted. They're not going to affect any of us, and it is a chance for them to get a point and try to hop
Yeah.
up and like finally get a point or add a point to your team or whatever it may be. And another quick thing that we thought of with this too is you could see them do that, and then a safety car comes out, and then all of a sudden the guy that was in 18th, 19th, 20th is in 11th, 12th, and 13th with a chance to get points now.
Yeah, to to put it in plain terms for people, so if you think right now, if that rule was in effect, AlphaTauri would have 1 point, and then only Ferrari and Red Bull Racing would have 0 points. So it would spike AlphaTauri above two teams, which is
Yes.
pretty impactful when you think about it.
And would put Passy tied for 10th.
Yeah, so something about that. So Will and I had a discussion, and I don't want to talk about too much, but Will and I had a discussion towards the end of the race, and he was like, "Oh, I think people are starting to go for the fastest lap." Now Will was in I think 11th place at the time, and so you have a choice even in those positions, right? Like Will was like a second behind at the end of this race here, a second behind Rune, and Austin Real was in 12th, and he was 1.2 behind Will. So let's say for instance some crazy shit happens in the top, right? And somebody DNFs, like you bump yourself up into ninth place or whatever if you stay out and or just keep driving, but you're not going to get the fastest lap. So like there's a lot of strategy that goes into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Once you're like 4 or 5 seconds maybe behind, maybe it's a little bit easier to make that judgment call, but it's definitely
Yeah.
an added element to strategy. So I think I'll cast my vote over the podcast. I think I'm gonna accept it. So that'll be the tenth principle to accept that
That's
ruling.
cool.
So we'll put it in. Um,
What a reward for the people who stayed up to this part to listen.
yeah. So we'll go ahead and make that rule effective starting in week 2. Because again,
Love
it's going to change strategies and things like that. I think for the guys in the back, and
So
you
hold on. We did talk about we do need to clear it up. We did talk about that if we would pass this, that we would award passy it from
no,
week one.
you can't do that. You can't
You
go
don't want to
retroactive.
do that?
No, so here's the deal: is because it changes a bunch of people's
I agree.
races. People would have
I
maybe,
agree.
yeah, people would have
Done
maybe
different
pit.
things.
If they knew
Yeah.
that was the thing, they would have pit for that incentive. There's
I
no way.
think we'll clear that over with the principals, and
Yeah.
I think we'll be able to
I
come to
I
an
just think
agreement
based on
there.
that, there's no way you can make it retroactive because people would have maybe
Yeah,
swapped their strategies around it, knowing
that's a good
the
call.
rule change. So
Yeah, because really a lot of people could
yeah,
have like any. There's, I mean, look at like guys that were in the back too. Like a lot of guys could have really pushed for that if they
yeah,
knew that.
for sure. So there's that.
Can I make a note on that fastest lap thing?
Yeah, fire away.
Yeah,
Possible scenario: you have a guy come
because I
in with
changed my
like
vote. Fuck you guys.
no, we have a guy come in the pits 4 laps to go. Um, I can't remember, but I think someone was going for a fastest lap before and crashed out and DNF'd, which caused a safety car previously in a race, maybe last season, last race, who knows?
I know a guy.
But it could be a possibility that a guy
I will
going
say
for it
that's
and
a
the
little bit of
tires
a
aren't warm.
concern.
It
I
is a
will
little
say
bit of
that's
concern speaking, like thinking on it now.
It is,
yes,
but
it's a little bit of a concern that you're going to get a late safety car. But at the end of the day, like one, I don't think it's going to happen a ton. Like maybe a place like Jeddah, sure, where it's like
he,
literally one of the most dangerous tracks.
it's
But
it's really a
I don't think it's
non-point
going to
though.
happen a ton.
It's really a non-point because people were going to do that anyways to take the point from people.
True,
Only
true.
only thing we're doing is awarding a point now. Like it's
Yeah,
just a non-point because it
and it's way
yeah.
too much good. And it's way too much good. And here's the thing: as soon as you get one of those late safety cars and it helps you, you're gonna be fucking happy.
You
You know what I mean? It like just depends on which way it falls. Like
you
that's the whole point of being regulations. It's gonna
you me
be
and
it just
real
changes the outcome.
you, me, and Real have had conversations like crazy about how to spice up the for like the back third of
Yep,
the grid, right? And this is definitely
yep,
like an easy solution. I think that makes a
yep.
lot of sense. So
Yeah,
that's what
And I
pushes
think
me
it's
into it.
fun. I think it's fun, dude. Imagine if you're a rookie right now. Like, look at a guy like Jordan, right? Like, so he's going to go out at Bahrain and he is in 17th or 18th the entire time. And he's learning the track. He's getting used to it and everything like this. And, like, okay, you just went through all that. Now, for the last 2 laps, put on the fastest tires and see if you can go faster than anybody else on the track. And if you do, you get a point. That's fucking sick. Why?
God,
Like, that's sweet.
God, I ran a 132.9 on hard fucking tires. Holy cow! And Passy ran a
Oh,
131.
you put, I saw, dude, I do out loud. I was like, holy shit, he just put in the fast lap on hards and
Yeah,
everybody else on medium.
yeah. All right, cool. Well, that's gonna put a bow on it, unless you guys have anything else. So, um,
Nope.
with that, we're going to put a wrap on this podcast. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Again, thanks Matthew Painter for being a guest here. As always, myself, David, and Austin try and make a point to do these every Thursday. I'll try and get them uploaded. I might get this one uploaded tonight, and then we can have it fresh for you
Sick.
in the morning and all that jazz. So, with that, thanks everybody for racing clean for the most part this week. That's a huge thing. We're not
Yep.
ruining everybody's night. That's
Bro stewards.
really a
Bro
blast.
stewards.
Yeah, less work for us, less paperwork, less bullshit to have to sift through at the end of the night. So thanks for all that, and we will see you in Jeddah. And I'm not sure if Matthew Painter or Doug O'Brien are going to be teammates going into the week, but we'll see after Doug listens to this podcast. But we'll see everybody in Jeddah next week. Thanks for hanging out, and leave some feedback in the channel.